Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another Walking Dead video from George Drake. So I am continuing on with his What If series. What if this certain character survived? How would the story have played out differently? So the topic for today's video is, what if Abraham survived? If Abraham lived in The Walking Dead Season 11? Man, Abraham was such a good character, But it would have been interesting to see how certain events would have played out. Would Eugene still have joined the Saviors? Would Rosita still have died? Trying to think of what other big moments and events. I think those two would have been really the big ones, because Abraham just kind of got like a back seat, which is kind of a shame. He only really shined when we did his jokes. The one thing I'm still kind of disappointed about is he goes on the adventure to get the RPG and stuff like that. Never used it. He goes out and risks his life, I think, on the chain link fence, hanging over the bridge, and there's the walker soldier and stuff like that, and he's got it like on his shoulder or something like that, and he's out there and he's wrestling with it and trying to get it away and everything like that, and then he does, and he never used it. Daryl used it to blow up the biker saviors, and then he used it again when they got back to Alexandria and set the pond or whatever on fire. That was it. He gets it, never used it. So I don't know. He didn't live till Angela Kang's run with the show. Maybe, if he did live season 9, maybe things would have been differently. Maybe he would have been a little more, front and center. With Rick leaving and gone and stuff like that, other characters had to kind of, rise up to fill in the empty space that Rick left behind. Aaron started to really shine a lot more, which is really cool because Aaron was a really good character. So, who knows? Maybe Abraham season 9 on, maybe would have got a little bit more of a bigger role in the show. I don't know. I'm sure the same thing would happen with Jesus, if he stuck around, but he didn't. But he still has like an iconic death. He's the first one to be killed by the Whisperers, and that was a shocking moment. Him going back to the fence and, yep, I'll take care of these. Whoosh, whoosh, whoop. Huh? Oh shit! Seeing that Walker just duck the blade and go right behind him and stuff like that. So I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, let's see what would have happened if Abraham survived. I think, like I said, those are the two big moments. Would Rosita have still died? If she did, what would have happened? And then Eugene either joining or not joining the Saviors. And then I think later on, I think he would have joined the Commonwealth, and him and Mercer probably would have got along and stuff like that. And that's my guess. But yeah, let's get on to the video and find out what would have happened. Here we go.
One of, if not my all-time favourite Walking Dead character, is Abraham Ford. He joined the show in Season 4, Episode 10, and was immediately seamlessly funny and lovable.
Yep.
Once he lost his family, he spared himself purely on having purpose in Eugene's life.
I wouldn't mind a prequel
and that he could
story
save
to
the
that.
world if he brought him to Washington.
Abraham and his family early on, leading up to this moment.
once it was revealed to be a lie. His story was all about finding another reason to live, and when he did, he died for it. It's one of those story arcs that I think on paper you could say ended perfectly, but painfully sad, and in the end, the show would go on to suffer so much from losing such colourful and charismatic characters. You could feel the absence of losing Abraham and Glenn, and while that was the intention at first,
It feels like everything is wrong.
the show would go on to lose more and more of itself, and you look back at scenes like this, where they sparingly got rid of such presences on the show and ended up with something much worse. 701 could have still been so great, with just one person getting beat by Lucille. You look back at that table at the end of the main show, and it couldn't really be an ending or celebration of what they've all been through, because most of them hadn't been through it. And as much as I hate to
it's
say
true.
Abraham's big sacrifice where he
That's
kneeled
true,
up
it's
to
just all the
Negan,
newer
showing him
people.
that he was the strongest and embraced being chosen, was overshadowed and overwhelmed by Glenn's fate, which kind of undermines the big act of sacrifice. The show could have
that's
really
true
gone up with
too.
vibrance later. I think there was
That
so
does
much
kinda
more they
ruin
could
it
have
for
done with him. And
Abraham.
now that I've seen the rest
You know,
of the
he
main
sacrificed
show,
himself.
it's time
He-
we finally answer the question
I'll be the
of what
one,
if
you know?
Abraham survived. Of course, make sure you press the like button and subscribe if you're new.
If we cannot decide.
At the lineup, Negan chooses Glenn because he interrupted before.
You can breathe. You can blink. You can cry.
I mean, I get why,
Be doing that.
you know, they also did Abraham, because, I mean, this is such an iconic moment in the comics, and it's like, oh, this moment's about to happen.
Kill
Gee, who's gonna
Abraham
die?
Because he sees that he's strong. He spares him
Ah,
because of
Glenn.
that, because he thinks he can use him. After Negan kills
Spoiler,
Glenn, he notices
you know?
that Abraham is cradling Maggie, comforting her.
Sweetheart. Were you together? That sucks.
He shouts and orders Dwight and some saviors to separate them, but Maggie removes Abraham's hands herself. Daryl isn't taken because he doesn't lash out. In fact, Abraham was the closest to doing anything, but because Maggie removed his
Oh,
hands by
okay, so
herself,
Daryl wouldn't have been
nothing
taken.
happened.
Oh,
No
right,
one
yep.
interrupted, so no one is taken.
You thought you were all gonna grow old together, sitting around the table at Sunday dinner in the happily ever after. No, doesn't work like that, Rick.
Abraham and Sasha stay with Maggie at Hilltop, while the rest go back to Alexandria. Maggie, Sasha and Jesus are sitting by Glenn's grave. Abraham walks over and hands Maggie Herschel's watch, says it was in Glenn's pocket. Gregory storms out saying they need to leave.
Maggie.
Oh, Jesus,
is
Gregory.
pregnant.
Well, that's her mistake.
Abraham tackles him to the ground and starts choking him.
Oh. I
He
could
gets
see
lost
that.
in the moment again, like when he was last at Hilltop. Maggie, Sasha and Jesus have to pull him away as Sasha walks Abraham to his room. The morning after, Sasha wakes up to find Abraham getting ready to leave. It's almost an exact mirror of when he broke up with Rosita, apart from now it's positive. He's going back to help with supplies to give to the saviors. He says Sasha should stay here with Maggie, and they're still on good terms. But he's now been at Hilltop
Okay.
for a couple of days and wants to go and help out back home. Abraham arrives shortly after Season 7 Episode 4 Service, when Negan had just arrived unexpectedly,
Okay.
and him and the saviors torment the residents. He's almost in shock at the state of the place, and makes a joke about him now not having a bed.
Let me put this to all of you as clearly
Of course he would make
as
a
I
joke
can.
about that.
I'm not in charge anymore. Negan is.
Rosita lets Abraham in on her plan with Eugene to make a bullet. While he's somewhat impressed at her immediate plans to get rid of Negan, he tries to discourage her, says she's being stupid. But, as fate would have it, thanks to Carl infiltrating the sanctuary, Negan arrives again.
Where's Rick?
For
Where's
most
Rick?
of this episode, Abraham does nothing but stare at Negan from across the street, spectate him, as Spencer
Giving him
weaves
the
his way
look.
into conversation. As he's staring, he asks Rosita, sitting beside him, if she knew about this, because Spencer is very clearly just sitting there denouncing Rick.
Rick Grimes has a history of not working well with others.
You know what I'm thinking? Because I have a guess. It's because
God.
you gotta know
Gods.
guts.
Anyone want to finish the game?
There were many times in the show that Abraham was shown to lash out, be impulsive,
Oh,
get
yeah.
angry. This is what I think would have been explored if they kept him on. Him
Oh,
getting
that
to
would
the
have
point
been
where he doesn't
cool.
become
An
or remain
explosive
that person that his
Abraham.
family saw him as before they died. I mean, what better test of restraint than having this guy walk into your home with all these awful people, torment, antagonize, and mock you,
That would have been
especially after what he
interesting.
did. Abraham found something to live for. Now it's
Explosive
about
Abraham.
protecting it. That includes keeping his temper to avoid retaliation and keep everyone safe. Unluckily for him, Rosita tries to kill Negan. After Rosita is tackled and cut, the punishment is still a rat killing Olivia. He asks who made the bullet, and Abraham is ready to take the fall. Whatever Negan's got planned, Abraham is ready
But
to take
Eugene
it. He
steps
doesn't
up.
believe it was Abraham, but he announces that he's going to take Abraham to the sanctuary until...
Oh.
It wasn't. It was me.
So Eugene speaks up for Abraham.
okay.
Eugene is taken.
No, please, just take me. No.
After this, the group rejuvenates at Hilltop.
They're back together again.
Abraham joins the group in visiting the kingdom, so Abraham has now made it to see Shiva and Jerry.
That
who
would've
at
been
this point in
cool.
The show was still funny.
Pleases me to see you, old friend. Pleases him indeed. Yeah.
It's stuff like this, having a room full of
Abraham
characters
seeing
and such
Shiva
great personalities,
and
that would have made
Jerry.
The Walking Dead so worth the watch. We would have got this if they just didn't mind having characters pushed to the side or in the background for a bit. Why was Abraham the character they thought had no more story? After getting the explosives, they head back to Alexandria. Rosita hears from Jesus that Sasha is planning to go to the sanctuary. Even though in this timeline, Sasha didn't lose Abraham, she still lost so much up until this point, and staying with Maggie, she's angry, she still wants revenge. He finds this out all too late. Rosita comes back and unenthusiastically reveals to Abraham that Sasha broke into the sanctuary and told her to leave. Abraham gets upset, and a part of him does see this as maybe Rosita wanted this. Negan is on the way. The explosives have been activated. They find out that Eugene is at the front of this convoy of saviors.
Ooh. Now this would have been interesting. What? Oh.
Points recovered. Hello. You may thrive.
Hello?
You may die. I sincerely wish for the former, for everyone's sake.
Abraham shouts for Eugene to get down and walk back in, but right in front of him, he's seeing Eugene
Abraham.
seemingly undo
Oh,
all that
oh, yeah.
progress he made. Abraham makes a comment to himself that Eugene's not a survivor, he's a leech. Would sound better if he said it. Calling back to season 6 episode 15, where he says this,
I've changed, adapted. I'm a survivor.
where he would bite Dwight and prove himself. Because he does see this at the
By
time
any means
as
necessary.
Eugene undoing it.
Where's Negan?
I'm Negan.
Oh.
After it's revealed that Jadis and the scavengers betrayed Rick, Negan walks out. After recent events, Negan says he now wants all of their supplies, and a person of Rick's choosing for Lucille. And when he says this, he looks at Abraham.
I want a person of your own choosing
That's some really good editing.
for Lucille.
It's almost like it happened in another universe, where Sasha, he says, similarly to how he would ask,
Who's Deanna?
and
Who's Negan?
Negan signals Dwight and Simon
Who's
to
Negan?
uncover a big
Who's
crate
Lucille?
next to them. It's a coffin.
Gosh, you're not gonna believe this crap.
Abraham rampages
So a dead
through
Rosita.
Alexandria, taking out every scavenger and savior he can see. Season 7 ends with a slightly different Abraham
Oh,
who has
yeah.
lost yet another thing that he lived for. Similar to when he lost his family, even though he was
And now he
helping
lost
out and
Rosita.
protecting them. He feels he lost Sasha because he wasn't there.
I mean, yeah,
Almost
Rosita,
feels like he
Sasha,
scared her
Jesus.
away a bit with his lashing out at Gregory, just like with his wife. He's now made his reason to live, fighting the saviors. I think Sasha dying is actually more impactful with Abraham still alive. With them
Yeah,
both being killed off
that's
the
true.
same season, it did feel like a bit of a waste. So Abraham would go on to see this as
I mean,
her
they would've been
death
closer.
is what started the war. It had to happen. In the season 8 premiere, Abraham joins Morgan on taking out another savior outpost. In my what if videos, I end up finding stuff that is
would've
extremely
been cool.
uncanny. That makes me
Morgan
feel
and
like
Abraham
maybe this
teaming
was
up.
always meant to happen in the show. I've written Abraham to be with Morgan because that's what I think it'd be. Two characters now dealing with loss and feeling the need to
That
kill
would've
the
been cool to
saviors.
see.
And
Not
right
gonna
next
lie.
to Morgan in this scene is a character character called Freddy. The first time we ever saw this Freddy character is when Abraham nearly killed him, after going on for a while without losing it. In this scene, he got lost in the moment again. He froze. And shortly after, when they're taking Freddy back to Hilltop with them in the RV, he said this.
You okay, Freddy?
For a second back there, just when I thought he was gonna saw my wife, she died before all this. Just when I thought it was over, there she was, clear as day.
He saw visions of his wife when Abraham nearly killed him. In this timeline, Abraham went on to lose Sasha. So this foreshadowed
So those two would have had some
and
sort
if
of
that
connection
wasn't
then.
crazy enough, the other character there, Andy, was the guy that Abraham got into a scuffle with when he first got to Hilltop. This all happened in the same episode, such big things for Abraham and
really?
Instead of it just being
The same
Morgan,
episode?
Freddy, and this Andy
it's been a while
character,
since I've watched
it's
it, you know,
Abraham too, and you
any
get
of the
Abraham
older
and
seasons.
Morgan as the more experienced, more gun-ho ones, literally in there purely to kill, while the other two are scared. In the show, they were all gunned down, and the other two died, while Morgan survived because of Benjamin's armor. But I don't think they should have stood there staring at the saviors that ran up in the first place. With
Yeah, it's
Morgan
true.
and Abraham alive, they defeat the saviors and all survive. Andy and Freddy lag behind, while Morgan and Abraham stroll through the corridor, brutally taking out every savior that comes their way. They act disturbed as they see the pure anger on their faces when they carelessly take them. We saw this back in season 5. Abraham has always had this rage. Abraham and Morgan stumble out of the outpost. Jared recognizes Morgan, so Morgan walks up and puts his gun on him. Jesus stops him, but Abraham says, "Leave it. We're here to kill them." He looks around at all the spared saviors and he says, "What is this?"
And Jesus ain't gonna stop Morgan.
I do like
and
that she was there
Abraham.
when Abraham first appeared, so them both having huge reasons to want the saviors dead is really cool. After arriving at Hilltop, Abraham stands guard of the saviors, says he's just waiting for Maggie's word. When Maggie eventually decides to spare them, she reveals they built a prison for them to enclose them in until it's over. Maggie orders for Gregory to be put in with them. Abraham grabs him and puts him in. Later, back inside, Aaron is talking to Enid, Abraham and Maggie about Eric, who he just lost.
Does it get easier?
No. But it helps to do something about it.
Maggie, Jesus, Abraham,
I don't think
and
Abraham and
Hilltop
Maggie would have
member
gone closer
Neil
together.
lead a convoy of Hilltop members to the sanctuary in hopes the plan worked and they can get them to surrender, until they come across a tree in the road. Abraham immediately knows it's the saviors. In the show, Maggie says it's them, but I think it would be nice for it to be recognised by someone who was actually vertical when that happened. Maggie was laying down, she would never have seen this tree method. The saviors roll out a beaten Jerry and Simon walks out.
Hello, hello, hello!
Meanwhile, Negan arrives at
Stephen
Alexandria
Ogg.
again. Unfortunately, this is season 8, episode 8. Carl has already been bitten and is about to die. Abraham being alive doesn't change that. He says to Maggie that Hilltop has been
he wasn't really there to do.
to keep
Would have been there to do
producing.
anything.
Simon says if they don't comply, he'll have Jerry killed and he'll drag Maggie out of the car and put her in this coffin. He mentions Sasha.
In which you will not suffocate to death like your friend. Sasha?
Abraham loses it, but just when he's about to make a move, Simon shoots one of the Hilltop residents in the car.
Nah, Gary, I got this.
Neil.
Forgot how intense that was. Stephen Ogg was so great.
They head back to Hilltop. The people that escaped Alexandria also join them at Hilltop. Negan devises his plan of using weapons covered in walker insides to infect the residents of Hilltop when they attack, even though Rick would later crash into Negan, steering him away.
Now see, this was
leading to
some good
Simon
stuff in
ordering
season,
to
in the
be
second half
killed,
of season
Tobin
8.
and others are still slashed. Another uncanny moment, in season 5, Sasha accidentally slashed Abraham's arm that she had taken out walkers with. Abraham obviously didn't turn.
Nothing came
You
of
can
that.
rationalise this till the cows come home. There wasn't enough guts on it, there wasn't, with Abraham still
I
alive,
guess
you can
that's
mention
true.
this. When some of them start calling out that their weapons were already used,
Not that
Abraham
much,
calls
yeah.
BS.
I guess
He
that
gets
makes
hopeful
sense.
because he says it happened to him before and nothing happened. But later that night, Tobin and other residents still turn and kill people. Abraham feels guilty and loses even more hope. Bruce is still alive but feels the fever. Abraham puts him down by request.
You're gonna have to do it.
Which is cool because he was one of the Alexandrians on the construction site in season 5.
yeah.
That got with Abraham when he saved Francine. Abraham ran to save her while the others others just watched. So it's quite cool that here he stood up and died doing it. This same night, in the chaos,
that
most
would've
of
been
the
cool.
saviors that were being held escaped. So Morgan and Abraham, just like we saw in episode 2, go out hunting for the saviors. Rick finds out from Alden that they've gone to a nearby bar.
Where'd they go?
There's no dive bar 3 miles off Edge Hill Parkway.
Luckily, he was really informative.
Between here and there, but the chances they'd actually...
Rick goes looking for them and comes across a crazed Morgan. As they're talking, Abraham comes out from behind a tree and Rick smiles.
Morgan and
As the
Abraham
three of them
together. Man, that'd be
the
something to
saviors
see.
don't stand a chance. They are all captured by the saviors they were looking for.
What the hell is going on?
Giving you my word.
And it all ends with them slaughtering them all, each with their own reasons to want to do it.
I lied.
Abraham is back to where he was.
I lied.
And this is the worst we ever see these characters. They return to Hilltop, and a day after, Rosita, Abraham, and Daryl go to retrieve Eugene from the sanctuary.
Eugene, let's go. Eugene, move it.
I don't want to.
No.
Eugene would stay behind.
While escorting Eugene back to Alexandria, Abraham is quiet, so genuinely
They'd still
disappointed in
get him out.
even though we obviously know Eugene was doing it to stay alive and to set up the bullets to beat Negan. They don't know that, and as far as they see it, he's had many opportunities to escape. While Daryl and Abraham are taking out walkers, Eugene does that weird shite where he throws up on Rosita to get away. It's clumsy, but I think that's what they would still do.
If you see him, blow that pig's head off.
When it comes to the season 8
Whatever he's
finale,
gotta do.
Eugene's plan works. Rosita saves
Okay,
Eugene.
so that still goes off. Okay.
I was wrong.
Rick defeats Negan and spares him. Abraham
Okay, so
looks
this still
on
plays
like
out.
every other character did, listening to Rick's speech and knowing he's right.
We are live. That's dead. And it's coming for us. Unless we stand together, the new world begins. All this is just what was. It's gotta be
Rick's always got
something
good
after.
speeches.
Abraham joins the others in restocking the sanctuary. He's now living for that new world Rick spoke of. Another uncanny moment. Abraham was the one that wrote, "The new world's gonna need Rick Grimes on the map," back in season 5.
That'd be cool if that came
in
back
this
into
timeline,
play.
Abraham is officially in that new world. So unfortunately, Abraham doesn't kill Negan. His story is one of restraint and mercy, not revenge. Like I think other characters' stories would have been. After season 8, a year passes and we see them all trying to work with the saviors and unite the communities. I really like the idea of Abraham living at and helping lead the sanctuary with Rosita, Daryl, Jerry, and Eugene. And so he also helps with the construction of the bridge.
I checked out the supplies. It's a pretty good haul. You should let everybody know.
I ain't getting up on a stage, giving a damn speech like him. It's bad timing. We just lost someone out there.
You can tell Abraham is leaning more into being doubtful of working with the saviors, but remarkably he doesn't tear them apart. It's cool to see. Even though Abraham is so close to Maggie, I don't think he would join them on trying to deceive Rick and going out of his way to make sure Negan dies.
Makes sense.
I don't think he wants Negan to live either, but he's not going to go to that extent to
Right.
be so destructive. Rick blows up the bridge the same way he did in the show.
Okay,
Abraham
so
is
this
among
plays
the
out.
characters that try to help, which is amazing in itself. 6 years pass. Abraham resides at Hilltop to help Tara out with leading it. Of course, I want him to stay there for Sasha and actually for Maggie. At this point, she has also left off screen. As Tara and
Okay,
partially
so that still
Jesus
plays
are
out.
leading
Alright.
Hilltop, Abraham deals with and oversees the more physical side of work, like the carpentry and forging with Alden and Earl. Daryl, Carol, and
I can
now
see that.
older Henry come and visit Hilltop as Aaron reveals that Eugene and Rosita were outnumbered by a herd outside the walls. Rosita is back, but Eugene is still missing. Abraham immediately wants to help. Aaron, Jesus,
Still the
Abraham,
coolest
and Daryl
moment.
both
One of the
leave
coolest
to go
moments.
and find him. Abraham smiles when he sees Eugene is alive. When Eugene is frantically explaining that he heard the walkers whispering, Abraham is the first to take it seriously. He knows more than anyone that there's truth to what he's saying.
This wasn't a normal herd.
What do you mean?
When they passed us by, we could hear them. They were whispering to each other.
I love that Abraham never really stopped being protective of Eugene.
Yeah, that's
Even
true.
after the lie, the mixing in with the saviors, he continues to be protective, and you'll see it here.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool.
When they're dead-ended in a graveyard while escorting Eugene,
Jesus
they have
still
to fend
dies.
off the walkers before they can escape. Fortunately, Michonne, Yumiko, and Magna arrive to help get the gate open. Jesus tells Aaron and Abraham to help too.
Okay,
as
so
he
it still
clears
plays out the same way.
oncoming walkers. But unfortunately, the first Whisperer does kill him. Daryl calls Abraham and Michonne over and reveals the stitching of the masks. The Whisperer's arc officially
No, they probably
begins,
still have
and the
Daryl
fact
do
that
that
Abraham
too.
is here makes me very happy.
We are neck deep up shit creek with our mouths wide open.
I wish I'd met him before. Sounds like he was a good one.
He was. Shouldn't have been out here.
It's my fault if I had...
Jesus made his own decisions. Maybe what happened was bound to happen.
After arriving back at Hilltop, they have Jesus' funeral.
Who are you?
Daryl and Abraham interrogate Lydia, where we eventually hear her backstory, and after that, Alpha arrives at the gates of Hilltop.
Ooh, now this would have been interesting. Another badass moment in the show. The arrival of Alpha. I'm Alpha.
I'm Alpha. And we only want one thing from you.
My daughter.
My daughter.
After she shows they've got Luke and Alden, Daryl goes to hand Lydia back over. Later that night, Henry leaves to go and find her, and he does. And
he gets captured.
So Daryl and then Connie infiltrate their camp to get him and Lydia back. They all agree to have the trade fair for the kingdom, and it commences. Abraham is there when they sign the Coalition Charter, which was basically Rick's Season 8 speech in written form, where the leader of each community sign it as one universal agreement. It's really cool that he's there when Tara signs it. There is this sense that Abraham's quite proud of Tara, which I think is quite cool. When I think her character was up in the air a bit when they first met each other.
Yeah, they didn't do really anything with her either.
Fair, Abraham is with Tara, but then later goes to speak with Rosita and Eugene as he's readjusting his radio. Eugene clumsily reveals that Rosita is pregnant, and Abraham congratulates her on it, and he's also somewhat proud that she moved on and is happy. It's a full circle moment. I don't normally care about romance in shows. I don't dislike it, I just don't care. That's why I wasn't as keen that, you know, the big CRM Rick project was turned into just a love story. I couldn't care less which character's doing who and who, but I do like full circle moments, and
that's
with Abraham
important.
going
Who's
to
doing
Sasha being
who?
such a big thing in his story and hers, it's good that now he's seeing her having a baby. In The Walking Dead especially, they make that a big deal.
A couple of fine gentlemen, including myself, are hosting an intra-community RPG campaign later if you're interested.
Don't push it.
Roger that.
Abraham doesn't plan to stick around for the fair. Those who reside at Hilltop are still quite worried about all that's been going on, because if Alpha is to
How can you
retaliate
pass on
for
an
attacking
RPG
their camp
campaign?
and taking
Come on.
Lydia, they think Hilltop will be hit first. Tara says she should stay at the fair because people will worry if they all leave at once. So Abraham leaves with Carol, Daryl, Michonne, Magna and Yumiko. They come across the two highwaymen and that Xavier DJ as they're investigating a Hilltop couple's wagon who have gone missing. The others separate. We're gonna have Abraham there instead of Yumiko. There really wasn't much point to her being there. They follow a trail that
Fair
leads
enough.
them to a dead end. Abraham makes a funny comment about how he's getting deja vu, referencing the season 6 finale. As walkers attack, the Whisperer appears wearing the face of Hilltop resident Miles. Again, makes a lot of sense for Abraham to be here and to be the one recognizing this guy because he actually lived at Hilltop for a while, so he says that's Miles. The group is outnumbered. After Alpha takes Daryl up on that cliff, they leave and find Sadiq tied to a tree at the bottom of a
And
hill.
then we see...
Then they see what's at the top of it.
If you happen to see her, could you tell her I need to speak with her?
Yep. This moment happens. The
Seeing
pipes.
Abraham react to seeing Tara up there is actually really sad. He didn't just know her 10 minutes like Yumiko did. The
Right,
Whisperers
he's
have
known her
taken out these people's friends. Each and every
Season
one
4.
of them are personally affected by what they see. As strong as I think he is, I do actually think he would be pretty knocked by seeing this.
Yeah.
Seeing Abraham hear Sadiq's story of how he saw them all fight makes it a lot sadder. The characters in that barn were usually given such a soppy Walking Dead
Yeah, I can
get out of
see
jail free card.
Abraham
They were
being rocked by that
disturbingly
seeing how he knew
out. The good
Taurus in
news is
season
Abraham
4.
is now the leader of Hilltop. He's now
And
leading not just for Tara, but Maggie and Sasha. When the snowstorm hits, the people of the kingdom are forced to leave and join the Hilltop. I don't think Abraham would appear in this episode much, as he's already at Hilltop, expecting them. After the storm passes, Abraham helps with the training and stopping the fire that started in the forest after the satellite crashes. Alexandria then have to start dealing with constant waves of walkers, and they think they're being sent by the Whisperers. We see Abraham with Gabriel, Aaron, Rosita and Eugene fending off the walkers at night.
That'd be a pretty cool combo.
They spot a Whisperer approaching, Gamma.
The north border. Now.
Abraham moodily snaps back. Why?
Her.
She ends this meeting by saying to meet Alpha at the north border tonight. Michonne, Daryl, Carol and Abraham are devising a plan to meet her. He asks, are we really going in there unarmed? Daryl says,
We got no choice.
They go there and drop their weapons. Abraham staring at the pike that Tara was put on as they wait. Abraham looks on in disgust as they arrive, and it's amazing. Alpha says that instead of killing them, she wants land.
Creek that winds into the valley. That is your new southern border. We will mark the new border to the north.
Cut off our hunting grounds. We don't have to stand here and listen to this.
Tell to this.
Ooh.
What?
Ooh.
Shut up.
To this bullshit.
Abraham joins in restraining her.
This is my land now.
Alpha and Carol just face to face. Just was just the way Alpha
Gamma
moved.
arrives again, but this time to help
Excuse me?
them. She informs them where the
What'd you
cave with the
say?
herd in it is on the map.
Say that again?
Gabriel decides all but Laura, Rosita and Abraham are gonna head out to the herd. This turns
I'm
out
gonna
to be
watch
a
this
trick
show again.
to have less people back at Alexandria, so
Chills.
Beta could go in and get Gamma back. But with Abraham home, something perfect happens. Beta infiltrates Alexandria through the tunnel that Dante dug.
Oh yeah, I forgot how
Rosita
cool
fends
that
off
was.
Beta as much as she can, but almost dies until
The hand thing just reminds me of
calls out
Teenage Mutant
behind
Ninja
him,
Turtles
Abraham
and
versus
Shredder,
Beta. How
you
amazing
know.
and funny would that be? And it's a full
The
circle
old school
moment. Abraham
movies, the good
defending
ones.
his family. His family wasn't scared of him. They're proud. Beta has to flee. After Alpha and Daryl fight and Lydia spares Alpha, she goes after Hilltop. Being the leader of Hilltop, he must lead them into battle. Abraham is impressed with Eugene's electric wire plan.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Mother dick.
Hilltop is defeated
Shit.
and they all have to flee. It's revealed that Carol had set Negan free to kill Alpha, and now Beta is on the way. They all go to the tower, which is just a hospital called the Tower, and wait for Beta to arrive with the herd. After all being
Tower
held
just
up in
sounds
the
cool.
tower for hours, Negan tries to talk to Abraham. He tries to say how much he liked Sasha, because in years they've not spoken.
You know, speaking of that, I wonder what
I just wanted to say
Abraham
that
and
I
Judas interactions would have been. That would have been
I like
funny.
a lot of things about her, and I wish to God I didn't have to do what I did. But if there is something that you want to say to me, then you should say it.
But Abraham doesn't have much to say. Not yet.
Evacuation started, but it's going to take time getting everybody down.
We'll give it to him.
They lead the herd into the ocean, the Whisperer's arc is over, and Maggie comes back. I think that was a mostly negative thing in the show, but with Abraham there, it means so much more. Of course, she makes a big song and dance about Negan. Abraham sees how distressed Maggie is by Negan being at Alexandria, so Abraham throws Negan a backpack of his stuff, takes him on a walk and says he has to leave, even though Negan's disappointed. As Abraham is walking away, he says, Red? Thank you. Abraham smiles but says,
That would have been interesting.
I didn't do it for you. But after his Here's Negan episode, he comes back anyway, as Abraham frowns. I think the only way Negan would have stayed gone and been exiled like in the comics, and like I think he probably should have been for the interest of the character, is if Rick and or Glenn were still in the show. Of course, Eugene and his group have gone to meet this Stephanie, and they have initiated the Commonwealth storyline. Along with this comes the Reaper storyline, but I usually skim past it because I don't think it's important. It really feels like something that AMC made the writers do to fluff out a much longer season. I think it was insultingly
Basically,
generic
yes.
and an insult to the greatness and thoughtfulness that
I mean, that's what happens when it was,
in
what,
there.
20?
It really was just generic soldiers
One
had a problem with
episode
Maggie
was the final
until they
season,
killed them
so
all. And they created this Leah character so Daryl would have a personal twist in the
Yeah,
Reaper
I needed
arc, but
to-
he didn't
needed
even
to
care when he killed her.
pad
It
that out a
was
little bit
just
more.
insulting. This goes without saying, but the Reaper arc in the show would be infinitely better for having Abraham in it.
Just think about choices. Do they even matter anymore?
Okay.
Depends on who's making the choice. Doubt's important, but it doesn't make you wrong.
Tell me to have faith.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Alden?
But this was all to even further show Alexandria on its last legs, and they would need the Commonwealth's help for supplies, even though the Whisperers would have done that. We are now in the final part of the main show with the Commonwealth arc.
Good gracious Ignatius.
I think Abraham would be with Daryl and Rosita, getting tested by Mercer and becoming a soldier.
Yep. Him and Mercer's interactions would have been really good.
Damn mess.
Which would make you hate Sebastian even more when he starts getting in Abraham's face.
Really?
Why did you do that?
Sebastian and Abraham.
Almost ate your face, dumbass.
Now that Maggie's back, I don't want Abraham to be a Hilltop as much. Abraham had his time leading it. I don't want him to be one of those
Yeah, he'd probably stay
NPCs
at Commonwealth.
that follow Maggie around. I think when she comes back, Abraham would say to her, "You're the leader again, kept it warm for you." He could have even made a joke like, not literally warm, because it all burns. And then Abraham goes back to joining Eugene and Rosita and dwelling at the Commonwealth. And that's just what the show did. They would have all these much better characters say to Maggie, "Yeah, you go and talk to Gregory. Yeah, we're all going to be following you after." And I'm just sitting there watching it like, oh, wait a minute. Can I not just have those characters be the leader? Can they not be the ones that stay? Why are we passing the torch down to people that are worse?
Deanna was right about you.
It's the one thing she was wrong about.
After this, I'm following you.
Without context, that was creepy. Lance takes control over all of the communities. Abraham helps take him down. Seeing Abraham and Negan work together is really cool to think about.
That? Yeah, that would have been interesting. Abraham and Negan working together. Especially in this car chase scene. That would have been cool.
22 and forced to work.
Good morning and welcome.
Oh, when Negan's throwing in his own
First day of the new
lineup.
You, and you.
Diana Marta, it's too easy. You living, making something positive out of your days, now that. Gotta keep me from giving in to anger.
Once they defeat the Warden and get out, it's about taking down Pamela.
Shoot to kill. Watch your 6. And Godspeed, 301.
Thanks, 22. I'll see you soon.
They're in Alexandria.
Milton has underestimated us since day one. We are gonna get our kids, take back our home, and make it right.
Tomorrow we go to the end of the line.
Ooh, man. Some of these moments, especially in the end, I forgot how surprisingly good they really were.
And Pamela's never gonna see it coming.
After walkers get into the walls, they clear them out by playing loud music and blowing up Pamela's estate.
Cult of
saving the
personality.
Commonwealth. Abraham made it. But what makes this finale so bittersweet is Rosita reveals she is bitten, and this again was the actress wanting to leave. She wanted closure on that Rosita chapter of her life. So even though Abraham is here in this timeline, I think she would still die, but I think it means even more within him.
Show was just about over.
I liked in this final episode, after Rosita revealed she was bitten, Eugene and Gabriel and everyone had to hold it together and not make her final moments all sad. So Rosita and Abraham seeing Eugene hold it together is really cool. When the original ending of their story in the main show I think was a bit backhanded, like, yeah, you redeemed yourself, now watch me get my head done in, then go and be a saviour for a season and a half. I think this is just a really great way for their story on the main show to have ended. Abraham and Eugene have to hold it together as he makes a speech at the end reminiscent of the one he made back in season 5. They all say their goodbyes to her, and then a 1-year time jump takes place. As Mercer is promoted to deputy governor, Abraham becomes the general of the Commonwealth Army. He was a sergeant before, so it's perfect.
That'd be cool. That'd been awesome. General Abraham Ford.
So this is what I think would happen if Abraham survived in The Walking Dead, but we'll never know for sure. An amazing character, effortlessly funny. The show could have really done with him sticking around, because just his mere presence makes every stale, dingy part of it so much better. But what do you think? Do you agree with this timeline I've created? Do you prefer this, or just what ended up happening in the main show? What other characters do you want me to do what ifs on? Let me know what you think down below.
I think it would have been awesome if
press the like button on the video
Abraham
if you enjoyed
definitely
it.
stuck
Subscribe if
around.
you're new. Thanks for watching. I'll see you.
Yeah. I think it would have been really cool if Abraham did actually, stick around. His death was pretty much overshadowed by Glenn's, just because, it's Glenn. But, I get why they did it, within the most iconic moment coming up in the comics. Everyone's just going to be like, gee, I wonder what's going to happen here. There's a lineup, and it's the arrival of Negan. Ah, Glenn dies. It kind of just, ruins it, uh-oh, what's going to happen in the show? Because we know what happens in the comics, so I guess Glenn's going to die in this episode. I get... You want it to change things and, make it a little less predictable and be like, look, Abraham died. Like, wait, what? That doesn't happen in the comics, So, I mean... I get it, just wanted to mix it up a little bit, but Abraham basically sacrificing himself and being like, yep, I'm the one, I'll sacrifice it, I'll take the hit, only to be overshadowed by Glenn 2 minutes later. It is what it is. But yeah, I think Abraham hopefully would have had a more front and center role, especially after Rick leaving, because like I said early on, once Rick left, other characters kind of got elevated up to kind of fill in the gap that, basically Rick left behind. Like I said, Aaron definitely came more front and center, which was really cool. So I think Abraham definitely would have, definitely been more front and center and stuff like that, which would have been awesome to see, but we'll never know, I think that would have been cool, the interactions between him and Mercer, him taking over the Commonwealth Army. That would have been a really cool finale for him. Yeah, it is what it is, the show played out the way it did. Whether you like it, don't like it, that's just how it went, I mean, he was a really good character, sadly overshadowed, quite a bit, not really there. I mean, it's got to be hard, imagine writing a show and then trying to juggle all these different characters and all right, well, I gotta give this guy screen time, and then this one's gotta do something, and then gotta, what about him, what about her, what do we do with her, and this one here, and well, we'll elevate him some more so he gets more screen time, and well, these ones here are gonna have to get pushed to the back for now because we got nothing for him. I mean, it's gotta be difficult to, definitely do a show with so many different characters. I mean, I'm sure early on in season 1, season 2, not that hard, because it was maybe a dozen characters. All you had to do was write for a dozen-ish characters, and that was, basically it. So everybody's, basically all together and stuff like that. So everybody's on the screen, everyone's got screen time, everyone's doing something. But then, of course, as the show went on and into the later, now you got 3 different areas: Alexandria, Hilltop, Kingdom, and then you got all these characters from all these different things, and then you got all the villains, and then you got Alpha and the Saviors. I mean, yeah, Alpha and the Whisperers and the Saviors, and then you get Commonwealth, and you got all the big people from Commonwealth, and all right, well, who's going to take a back seat? And I'm just, now you're juggling maybe 30 different characters, and people get back seats, it's all right, we don't know what to write for you, don't know what you to do, so I'm sure it's definitely had to be, very difficult, because I'm sure everybody wants screen time, everybody wants to do something, give me, my own storyline, my own story arc, don't just be like, oh, okay, yep, this character's gonna go off on a spy run, bye, and come back 3 or 4 episodes later, but yeah, who knows? But yeah, would have been cool if Abraham lived. I miss his goofy one-liners and stuff like that. Who's the Oh man. But anyways, it is what it is. So let me know, what do you guys think? Would you have liked if Abraham survived, or just the way the story played out and he died sacrificing himself? How do you think things would have played out if he did survive? Do you think things would have played out the way he mentioned it? You know, him and Negan would have teamed up later on in like season 8 and stuff like that. All the stuff with the Whispers, and then of course the Commonwealth. You know, in the end, he would have been in charge of, you know, basically the army of the Commonwealth. You know, or do you think things would have played out differently? You know, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And other than that, yeah, if you guys have any other Walking Dead videos you guys want me to check out, let me know down below in the comment section, or leave a link to the video, and I'd be happy to make a video on them. I think I'm pretty much almost done with George Drake's What If videos. So that kind of sucks. I think I'm almost done with the Thrifty Typewriters. Shoot, what are those videos called? The speculative videos? Yeah, the good, you know, like the good, the bad, what could have been done differently in each season. I think right now he's only got season 9, and I think I'm on season 9. So yeah, so I'm gonna need some more videos, so hopefully you guys got something for me to check out. But other than that, yeah, just stick around, more videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.